welcome to the video. Let's get started.
My name's Wyatt Gunzel, and I'm an Eagle Scout. Now I enjoy anything outdoors, whether it be a good old camping trip, fishing, or hunting with my father. Now, anything outdoors usually starts with a few simple steps. So what I'd like to do is teach you those fundamental steps to make sure your next trip into the great wilderness is a success. A key fundamental to being an excellent outdoor explorersman is knowing how to start a fire. So, let's get started. So one of the first things that works really well for a fire starter is tinder. Now, tinder can be comprised of the needles from a cedar tree or a pine tree, or this really fine bark that comes off of a cedar tree, or a juniper in some cases. Now, what you're going to do is, what I like to do is just tear off a little bit of this bark here. Just tear off a little bit of the bark. You don't want to tear too much off because it can kill the tree. Don't worry, this wasn't me. This was my dad in a tractor. He ran into it. Stuff that happens on the farm, right? You're going to kind of gather just a little bit of this bark and work on building yourself an artificial bird's nest. That's what I call it. So yeah, if you'll just get a little bit of that. So now we have enough material to make our bird's nest. So what we're going to do is take each side of it and gently rub it together like that. Now this friction causes a little bit of the dust from the sap, from what's left of the bark, from the if you have a little bit of those juniper leaflets, the little pieces on there, then that's going to turn into a beautiful nest like that. It's going to look just like a bird's nest, see? Now, be careful. Make sure that the stuff you get isn't a brand new tree, because if you do that, it's going to get sap all over you, and that's no fun. So now that we have our bird's nest, we're going to place this directly in the middle of our fire pit. Good. Now we have a perfect tinder starter, and that's going to work great for our fire starter. Let's get moving on to the second part. Now kindling can be your savior, like I was saying. They'll be your backbone, the thing that will keep you through, especially during the winter times. I've used pieces of kindling that are literally just frozen pieces of wood, and that started my fire out of nothing. So I'll gather a bit of it here and put it onto our fire. Number 2 part is done now. We've put that kindling right on the tinder, so it'll be a nice base for the rest of our logs. So now that we've got the tinder and the kindling there, that kind of serves as a foundation. Now if you think about, let's say, your house, what are the building blocks that keep your house up? Well, there's cement, there's layers of bricks, there's probably a concrete base down there that keeps everything standing up. What about your life? What's the foundation for you? Now, I belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or as some people call Mormons. Now there's a quote that goes, "The world is not yet a crazy enough place to reward a whole bunch of undeserving people." Now I firmly believe that. Now, your fire is going to be the same way. If you don't have a strong foundation, there's no way for it to succeed. I remember growing up in the Scouts that if I did not have the perfect amount of tinder or the perfect amount of kindling, that the fire just wouldn't start. You could have the driest logs, you could have anything you wanted in there, and it still wouldn't start. So it's super important to build yourself to success with a firm foundation. Now it's super important not to overstoke your fire. Just like if you put too much weight on your shoulders, it's going to bring you down. So the next part is to equally balance the right amount of logs or bigger kindling or things so that you don't drown out your fire. So let's get to work on that. It's super important not to overstoke your fire. So sometimes it's alright to just start off with a small amount and work your way up. So what I have right here It's just a few sticks on top of all that kindling. Now, as the fire gets started, you want to add more weight, right? Just like a workout. If you have too much weight to start, it might scare you, or even worse, you might get hurt. So just add a little bit as you start to develop and grow. So the sticks that I have right now are a little too long for the fire pit. But as long as I keep an eye on it, I can slowly start moving more of the stick in as it burns. Get it? So all of our work has paid off. Since we've taken care of ourselves, gathered the necessary tools and materials, we've been able to accomplish something amazing. Now, I don't really care what you get out of this lesson. If it's you learned how to start a fire because of what I've taught you, great. If it's now that you know not to overburden yourself and to take care of yourself, especially when you're in need, that's even better. Now, let's take a look at this fire. I'm pretty happy with it, and I think you will be too. Because we've set a firm foundation, we've now gathered the spark and the light to continue to grow. Now look at this. This fire used to be nothing. There was nothing here. And now it started to take hold of the kindling and started to get onto the bigger branches, and soon we'll have that log lit as well. Thanks for coming out and learning with me. I'll be glad to see you next time. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe down below. We'll see you next time.